Inspector Cosgrove, what is the nature of your evidence against my client, Peter Rodwell?
We can't have questions like that.
I beg your pardon, sir?
You can't ask a police officer questions about the facts of the case.
Why not?
It is not the custom in this court.
Then it is a custom which has no legal foundation. Please answer my question, Inspector.
Miss Peterson, why do you want to ask these questions?
My client, Peter Rodwell, is charged with burglary, but we've heard no direct evidence to connect him with the burglary.
We are not interested in that.
Then you should be, sir.
You are trying to force the police into a premature disclosure of their case, and we will not permit it.
This is an application for bail. My client has made no admissions. He's not been identified by anyone. There's no fingerprint evidence.
No, right. You may ask questions of a purely general nature, and you will be brief.
Now, Inspector, what is the police case against Peter Rodwell?
He was seen in the immediate neighbourhood of the burglary. He ran away when approached by a police officer, and he had ladies' nylon gloves in his pocket.
Very sinister.
Burglars use them to avoid leaving fingerprints.
Women use them too, Inspector, and may occasionally leave them quite innocently in the pockets of their men friends. He had a reasonable explanation for being where he was.
He said he was going to an off-licence.
Which was nearby?
About as near as the house that was burgled.
Did you find any stolen property on him?
No, but a certain kind of burglar makes sure that won't happen by having a mate park a car in the next row where the stuff can be dropped.
Are you able to prove that happened in this case?
That's all I'm prepared to say now, miss.
Does that satisfy you, Miss Peterson?
No, sir, it does not. There's nothing to connect my client with the burglary other than guesswork.
Rodwell has a criminal record.
That doesn't alter the fact that there's insufficient evidence in the case.
This court does not give bail to men on serious charges with criminal records.
Your only concern should be that my client appears to stand his trial. He has a permanent address?
Yeah, flat. He could leave at any time.
He's lived there 3 years.
He's a single man.
Has he ever failed to answer to his bail on previous occasions? I demand that you give your full attention to the evidence.
We do not give bail in cases like this.
And nothing I say or do will affect that decision?
It is a matter of principle with us.
Then I shall go immediately to a judge in chambers for bail. My client is clearly entitled to it.
Don't threaten me, Miss Peterson.
That isn't a threat, sir. It's a professional promise.
Peter James Rodwell, you will be remanded in custody until this day week.
Harold George Featherbridge.
Thanks for fixing me up with that Miss Peterson. Bit hot, isn't she?
We're very satisfied with her.
Can I have a word with me, barrister?
Good luck.
Don't worry too much about that, Miss P. I've seen the inside of a nick before. No terrors.
It's the injustice of what happened. Do you want to rot in jail until God knows when?
No, not if there's a chance.
Right. Then as soon as your solicitor here can find me a High Court judge...
I'm entitled to 24 hours' notice.
You know this man should have bail.
Look, I've been after Chummy here for 4 years. Now I've got him banged to rights. I want him nice and safe where I can keep an eye on him. But I'll be ready, Miss Peterson, any time you say.
Tell me, Mr. Thorogood, you're a solicitor with a local practice. Do your magistrates always behave like that?
This is an affluent area, fertile territory for burglars. The bench feel justified in taking a hard line.
They're gull-lighters, not magistrates.
I have a home and family here, too. I'm grateful to them when I'm not earning a living out of their victims. I'll try and find a judge in chambers to hear your application.
The magistrates have adjourned your case for a week. That means you have to be back here at the same time next week. Hello, Miss Peterson. You should have told me. This is my local court. I know the bench of old.
Oh?
I could have saved you a hard time.
I don't see how. I had a job to do, however unpleasant. And probation officers get their fair share of aggravation.
More than enough. I shall be seeing Ian this weekend.
How nice for you. I hope it keeps fine. The forecast isn't good.
Yes. But we have had 2 burglaries.
Going to Sir John Gallagher.
They got away with what? £80 the first time, £1,100 the second.
The insurance company did pay up.
Yes, they paid up all right. But look what they're saying now.
Why don't you do what they want? Won't cost that much. Surely the business can afford it.
Well, I can't very well put down home burglar alarms to the garage.
Well, of course not. You are doing very well.
That's how the money is the principle of the thing. Anyway, there's something else I want to talk to Gallagher about.
I'm sorry to trouble you, John, about so small a matter, but my client...
There's no need to apologise. I can afford to pay the fee.
Mr. Curtis and I are neighbours. I bought my first Rolls Royce with the benefit of his professional advice. Now, what do the insurance company want you to do?
A standard bell alarm with contacts to all the outside doors and some of the inside ones. They want a direct line to the local police station with an auto dialer, and they want me to change the locks and all the doors and the windows. I mean, that's 400 quid.
Sounds reasonable enough.
Reasonable? I've been paying premiums for over 30 years. I've scarcely made a claim. I mean, it's pure profit. And when they're asked to cough up on their side of the bargain, they squeal.
Now, let me see that policy again.
I'm sorry I'm late.
This is my junior on the case, Mr. Bradstreet.
How do you do?
Have you read these instructions?
Yes.
Now, you have the contents insured for 7,000, personal jewelry 2,000, centimeters is 800, painting at 1,000.
I've just added a fur coat to that.
Now, that's a premium of £56.
65, with the fur coat.
Are they increasing the premium?
They haven't said so.
They want protection, not extra premium.
They want it good all the time. They've got to learn to take the rough as well.
Now, what have you paid in premiums over 30 years?
Ooh, let me see, it must be thousands.
About 30 bob 1940, no more than 550. I shouldn't think you've paid more than £300 in premiums over 30 years, and you've had 1,200 out. Scarcely made a claim.
What I want to know, Sir John, is can they force me to pay, fit this anti-burglar stuff in? I mean, in law.
I'm afraid so.
Have they cancelled your cover?
No, but they refuse to renew unless I agree to their conditions.
And your renewal date is tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, you'd better get your checkbook out, Mr. Curtis. You take the papers with you, Mr.
Thank you, Sir John.
Could I have a word with you privately, Sir John?
I'm afraid we have a legal ritual for these occasions.
This is not to do with the law. It's something private.
Oh, very well. No, thank you.
Goodbye,
you,
Sir John.
Goodbye. Well, I thought my place would be vulnerable to burglars, so I bought an Alsatian. Nice, ferocious brute. But he took to sleeping on the bergère suite in the drawing room. Couldn't have that, so I kept him out of that room at night. Unfortunately, that's where the canaletto was. Now, Mr. Curtis.
Well, as you know, Sir John, I'm chairman of the association now. Not before time, I might say.
Congratulations, but I think you'll find my subscription is paid up to date.
Yes, of course. No, it's not that. No, it's the death of your cousin, the late Member of Parliament I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, we've been looking for someone to take his place for quite some time. Well, personally, I feel we should keep it in the Gallagher family. So would you be interested in a very safe seat at the by-election?
There won't be any more instruction in this case if you let me have a fee note, Bill.
Tonight. Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Can I help you?
My name's Walker. I have an appointment with Miss Peterson.
Oh. Well, I think there must be some mistake. You're not in the diary.
I made the appointment personally with Miss Peterson by telephone.
Are you a solicitor, Mr. Walker?
No,
The procedure is that clients are not allowed to see barristers without going through a solicitor.
I'm not a client.
Miss Peterson usually tells me her appointment. She's not back from the court yet, so if you... Miss Peterson, this gentleman says he has an appointment, a Mr. Walker.
Yes, I'm sorry, Bill. I forgot to tell you. Come in, Mr. Walker.
Thank you.
Harriet,
I won't be long, John.
could I have a word? A big
Buzz
minute?
you, buzz you.
Chief Detective Inspector, Special Branch.
Yes, you told me on the telephone. Do sit down.
Thank you. It's about your clerk, William Corletti.
Yes, I thought it might be.
The Court of Appeal directed investigation into the circumstances in which your clerk came into possession of a confidential army record.
To wit, an adverse report by his commanding officer on one Major Hector Stannard.
Yes.
You want a statement from me?
You're being very cooperative, Miss Peterson.
No choice.
I thought lawyers were supposed to keep their clients' secrets.
Only on the facts of the case in hand. If in defending one crime another is committed or discovered, a lawyer has no privilege. He must assist the police like any other citizen.
This is not an army paper.
No.
It's not a photostat.
No.
How did he get it?
I don't know. He didn't tell me. He assured me it was authentic, and that was all I wanted to know. Yes?
The solicitor in Rodwell's been on the phone. He's found a judge in chambers prepared to hear your application for bail in 10 minutes across the road.
Thank you, Bill. You'll have to excuse me. There's a judge waiting for me.
This will be enough to be going on with. I'd rather you didn't mention this to your clerk, not for the moment.
Why?
I haven't seen the Major yet, and I like to pick my own time.
Very well.
Thank you. And good day, Miss Peterson.
Good day. I shouldn't be too long, Bill.
Mr. Walker, should I have put him in the diary?
No. It was personal.
Harriet.
Sorry, John. There's a judge waiting for me this afternoon.
I'm in court.
Tomorrow, then.
Well done, Miss Peterson.
Congratulations.
Mr. Thorogood, it didn't take a genius to persuade the judge to let Rodwell out on bail.
I hope he behaves himself.
Huh?
The inspector, Cosgrove, has a thing about prisoners who commit further offences while on bail.
That's not my problem. He'll never be convicted on the present charge.
I agree.
So he's entitled to his freedom. What he does with it is up to him.
If that's the way you feel.
Yes, Mr. Thorogood, that's the way I feel.
Stories are true. You do have to starve when you begin at the bar.
Nonsense. Bill will find you something.
Oh, I've been a fully fledged barrister for a whole week. And all I've had is a £5 brief on a case that will go nowhere.
Come and watch me make matrimonial mincemeat out of a millionaire.
No thanks. Think I'll go and get drunk.
Yes, I'll tell him.
Yeah, I'll call him back.
Okay. Bill, I'm on my way to the divorce.
Queen's Building, Court 33.
Thank you.
Miss Peterson, I'd like a word in private.
Oh, I wonder, Miss Bradstreet, if I could borrow your rooms for a few minutes.
How could I say no, William?
I know why you're here.
I do.
The Stannard business, that confidential report.
Go on.
I have nothing to say.
Why not?
No comment.
Miss Peterson tells me that you gave her this copy of a confidential army record.
No comment.
And you can't deny that Miss Peterson gave it to you.
No comment.
You must also realize that you could only have come into possession of that document in an unlawful manner.
Have you made up your mind to charge me?
Why?
Under the judge's rules, you must caution me if you have.
Oh, come on, Bill. Let's not talk about cautions just yet.
My name is Mr. Corletti, and if you're not ready to caution me, it's because you haven't got enough evidence. Unless I open my mouth and give it to you.
Now, this attitude will do you no good.
If you'd been a barrister's clerk as long as I have, you'd know that no one ever got into trouble through keeping his mouth shut.
There must be a bunch of bloody hooligans.
God, not again. I'll go upstairs.
My God.
Henry! Henry, you should see upstairs. They've been through all my clothes.
Your jewellery?
I haven't looked. It's just the thought of those hands on all my things. I want to burn them.
They charged down the front door. Charged it down. Got away with everything they could lay their hands on.
And you agreed the insurance company's terms?
Well, I'd asked my secretary to get in touch with their manager, and maybe she forgot it. It's as simple as that.
So you weren't covered?
That's the reason I'm here.
The renewal date passed?
Yes.
Without your agreeing their conditions?
Yes.
No premium accepted? And the insurance company was not at risk. You were carrying your own risk.
How much was stolen?
The painting, miniatures, and a small amount of silver. My wife's jewellery, of course. Well, fortunately, the colour TV set was on hire.
That makes no difference. You'll have to pay for that, too.
I know it's a bit late in the day, but finally I've agreed to their terms. And now they say that...
They won't hold you covered until all your alarms have been put in.
But can they do that?
Yes. The original policy has lapsed. It's the basic law of offer and acceptance. They offer to insure you on whatever conditions they think fit. You are free to accept or reject that offer.
It'll take me 6 weeks to put all that stuff that they want. And though there's very much left to steal, still I don't want any more burglars. I mean, can I take steps to protect my property?
Yes.
Any steps?
To keep burglars out, yes. But you mustn't do anything designed only to cause injury.
And what if they get inside?
Well, you can use such force as is reasonably necessary to protect yourselves and your property.
All right, Sir John. But God help anyone that gets inside that house.
Mr. Curtis, a word. I wondered if you had any news on the other front.
Well, I have spoken to a few people, the ones that matter. They think it's a bit of a drawback. You're not married.
Well, neither's the Prime Minister.
No. No, they don't think very much of that either. If you were married, it would be easy.
Come on, Henry, we'll be late. What on earth are you doing?
I'm fixing the burglar alarm.
I didn't think we had a burglar alarm.
We have now.
Mrs. Simpson, is Dr. Moody there?
He's got a couple of days off. Isn't he going to London?
Oh, yes, of course. How silly of me. I'd forgotten. I'm sorry, thank you.
I've been doing a murder in Winchester. Lovely cathedral city like that has no business harbouring murderers. Harriet, are you paying attention?
Yes, John?
I have something very important to tell you. I've been asked to stand for Parliament. Oh, blast that thing.
Yes?
I've been called out on an emergency by a mutual client.
Which client?
The one you said was entitled to his freedom.
Rodwell? Well, what's the emergency?
A repetition of the modus operandi.
You mean he's burgled somebody else?
He walked into a trap,
A police trap?
a double-barreled shotgun. It's inflicted a serious injury. Hold on a moment, please.
Mr. Curtis, I have to ask you some questions, but first I must warn you that anything you say will be taken down in writing and may be used in evidence.
What are you cautioning me for? You've got the criminal?
Look, setting man traps, spring guns, is a criminal offence.
I've been burgled 4 times in 6 weeks. What's the bloody police force done to stop it? Now get off my property. Go on, get off.
Yes, Miss Peterson.
Make a note of everything you see and hear and write it all down as soon as you can.
Yes, Miss Peterson.
Go with Rodwell to the hospital and make sure the police don't question him until a doctor's certified he's in full command of all his faculties.
Yes, Miss Peterson. They've taken him away. I'd better go.
How serious is the injury?
It doesn't look good. What price is freedom now?
Parliament. I'm not interested in a seat on the back benches, so I had words with a friend of mine, well-placed friend, and he says there's real hope of ministerial office. Now, what do you think about that?
It really isn't my problem. Is that the law centre?
Yes?
Is Dr. Moody there, please?
No, I'm afraid not. Can I take a message?
No, I'll leave it, thank you.
William, I am with Miss Peterson. We are not to be disturbed under any circumstances whatsoever. Now, is that clear? I would prefer you to be seated, please. Have I your undivided attention?
Yes, if you come to the point.
No judges in chambers dying to see you for any reason.
John, is anything the matter?
I'm not nervous.
If you say so.
Words are my tools and trade, so there's no point in being nervous, is there?
John, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I can see that. Well, let me put it this way. I don't want you to misunderstand what I am about to say, but I want you to marry me. What I mean is, this is not some soggy, sentimental declaration of infatuation. Harriet, we've known each other 20, 25 years. It can't be more than that, surely.
A woman doesn't like to be reminded of her age, particularly at a moment like this.
I don't want you to regard this as a love match with people of our age. Well, my age, your age, it's all right, these things, but there are other things more important.
A life subscription to the Darby and Joan Club.
Oh, you're joshing me again, Harry. I was determined not to be joshed this time. You see, well, to be perfectly frank, if I'm to go into politics...
Politics? But we already have an Attorney General.
It would be a considerable advantage if I were married. Of course, in my position, I've known many women. A wealthy bachelor tends to, but those of them who are not married are either too clever or merely beautiful, and then I thought of you, Harriet.
Last on the list?
Of course, you should have been the first, but when I tried to analyze my feelings towards you, I discovered they were rather more,
complex?
Thank you. Yes. Oh, my dear, I didn't mean to be rude or in any way insulting, but I just did so want to be honest. It shows the depth of my affection for you. Well, I can offer you what? Satisfying intellectual diet, an appreciation of all your talent, a certain absent-minded humor, a worship of the entire country, for what that's worth. I promise never to beat you in court unfairly, never to eclipse you socially, never to embarrass you politically. Oh, God, William, did I not tell you to...
I'm sorry, Sir John, but Mr. Curtis is leaping up and down outside saying that if you value your political career, he must see you right away. I thought I had to interrupt. I hope it wasn't anything too important.
No.
Sir John, I've shot a burglar. He's in hospital.
What?
You see, I fixed up this shotgun with a trigger device attached to the handle of the French windows.
I thought you said it was political.
Yes, but the police are talking about charging me.
And where's your solicitor?
Well, I couldn't get hold of him. I came straight to you.
Curtis, you're a bloody fool. Come in.
How are you, Mr. Rodwell?
Well, the damage round the knees stopped the circulation to me lower leg, so they've chopped it off.
I'm sorry.
One thought keeps me going, though. What I'm going to do to that sod that let me in for this.
You have other problems. The police are preferring a charge of attempted burglary.
Oh, bastards. What more do they want?
They could have made it burglary itself a more serious matter, but I persuaded them that no part of your body had entered the house when the gun went off.
Well, what does Miss Peterson say?
That you should plead guilty to the attempt.
All right, what do I get?
It depends on the judge and how persuasive Miss Peterson is with him.
Come on, what's the score?
It could be 5 years.
What, with one leg?
A hard judge could give you more. You have an unfortunate record of criminal activity. Inspector Cosgrove will be here shortly to make the formal charge. Then, when you're fit to leave the hospital, you'll appear before the magistrates.
Not that lot again.
Yes, and you will be committed to the Crown Court for trial. Mr. Thorogood? I understand you wish to be present while this man is charged. That is so.
Peter James Rodwell, you are charged with attempted burglary, contrary to Section 918 of the Theft Act 1968.
Moody speaking. Oh, yes, yes. Yes, she's my patient. Well, I'm not surprised. I've been expecting it. Well, no, nothing to add, except don't give her penicillin. She's allergic to it. Will you tell her I'll be in to see her on Monday, and good luck. Thank you very much. A simmering appendix has come to the boil.
Thank God we've eaten.
The surgeon wanted to check. Are you ready for more coffee? Well?
Well, what?
You've been dying to say something all evening.
We have got to have a talk.
What about?
Us.
The three of us?
Yes.
Harriet and I have been together now for more than a year. Most of the time I feel we're married. I've tried to make it so many times. But recently, I don't know what's gone wrong.
Try blaming me.
It was pretty deep on my side.
I heard she'd applied to become Queen's Counsel.
Yes.
Well, didn't that tell you which way she was going?
She was turned down.
Oh, I looked for her name in the paper. I hoped she'd get it.
So did I, but the stupid chancellor sent her a damn letter saying, try again next year. But for that...
A marriage license won't solve anything. She's too selfish.
You only see the hard crust. It's just a pose. Her husband went to jail. Can you imagine what that was like?
I don't have to. I see it all the time.
He left her to bring up a son. With no money, she studied for the bar and helped her son to qualify as an accountant. She hasn't had an easy life.
So why take it out on you?
Her priorities are a bit muddled at the moment, that's all.
Oh, that's just your excuse for the fact that she doesn't want to marry you. I love you, Ian. I think you love me. But you have an image of Harriet that is totally untrue and it's getting in your way.
It isn't a competition, Eileen, her career or me.
Isn't it?
Do you think if I'd been married to her, I'd have wanted to stop her taking silk?
Well, you wouldn't have said as much, but underneath, yes.
Would I?
You want to be the dominant partner in any relationship. Total commitment, no reservations. It's very old-fashioned, but I've come to the conclusion I rather like old-fashioned men. I have no reservations, Ian, about you or me or my job.
You don't know how easy it would be to say amen to that.
Then why don't you say it?
I can't.
You are not asking for bail again.
Certainly I am.
Fortunately, I am not responsible for the decision which gave this man bail last time. But he will not be allowed out by this court to commit more offences.
He can't even walk.
He will be remanded in custody.
But you haven't even heard my application.
There's no point.
He's only just come out of hospital. He has to attend Roehampton for the fitting of an artificial limb.
The prison service knows how to cope with that.
All stand!
I'm glad you lost that.
Why?
I don't like burglars any more than they do.
Then you shouldn't act for them.
Sorry to put you through all that again.
Don't apologise, is what I'm here for. And fortunately, there aren't many magistrates like that.
No, it's worth a try. Still, I'm probably better off in a prison hospital.
Come in.
Hello, Harriet.
Hello, Ian. Where did you spring from?
Well, I tried the flat. I even phoned Gallagher. And then I tried Bill at his home. He said that you might be here, working late.
How are you?
Fine. And you?
Fine.
I
saw
spoke to
Eileen
Gallagher.
rather... Did John have anything interesting to say?
No. Did Eileen?
No.
What do you think of her?
I've had a proposal of marriage.
From whom?
Sir John.
I thought that might have happened sooner or later.
Was that all you have to say?
How do you expect me to react? You know I can't stand Gallagher. I find the idea of your marrying him ludicrous unless...
Unless what?
Unless you just want to feel safe from anyone else's offer of marriage. According to my diary, I've asked you to marry me 12 times.
Kept a record, have you?
Yes. And 12's enough. Next time, you'll have to do the proposing.
No, the police won't prosecute Curtis.
Whosoever shall set any spring gun, man-trap or other engine calculated to destroy human life or inflict grievous bodily harm upon a trespasser shall be guilty of an offence and liable to up to 5 years.
I've spoken to the DBP's office.
I don't approve of pulling strings.
You're an irritating child. I did not pull strings. We agreed on the obvious, that no jury of householders would convict, not with the provocation Curtis had.
Provocation's only a defence to murder.
Give me straight. You're my junior on the case. We're supposed to be on the same side.
I'm on the side of justice.
My God, you're even beginning to talk like her. Look, you've got a university degree, you've been called to the bar, you've completed 12 months as a pupil. So far, you're an expert in nothing.
I wouldn't say that.
You are now permitted to practice on the public at large, who'll have my sympathy. I suggest that if you wish to be successful, you temper your jeune idealism with a little commercial common sense.
I'll try.
Bill's given me the list of acceptances for the Chambers party.
I do so hate those occasions.
Nonsense. You know you love them. They give you the opportunity to make far too long a speech to a captive audience.
Moody?
Of course.
Phyllis, ask William to get me Curtis's solicitor on the telephone, will you?
John, do you remember the judgment
Harriet, the other day I put a certain proposition to you.
The word is proposal.
Yes, my dear. I don't want to rush you, but...
I'd like to think about it for a few more days, John. I'll give you my answer at the party.
Thank you, Miss Peterson. Peter James Rodwell. You have been found not guilty of burglary on the first occasion. As to the charge of attempted burglary at the home of Mr. Curtis, to which you pleaded guilty, I have listened to everything that has been urged on your behalf, so eloquently by Miss Peterson, that you have already paid a severe penalty for your crime in the loss of your leg. Nonetheless, in view of the number of previous convictions, I feel that a sentence of imprisonment must be passed, and I consider that the appropriate sentence is one of 18 months. But taking into account all the circumstances, and the fact that you had previously stayed out of trouble for 3 years, I suspend that sentence for 2 years.
All stand.
Well done, Miss P. I was a bit worried for a minute there.
Good luck.
This geezer that's Andy with the shotgun, from what I read in the prison library, I've got a watertight case against Curtis.
You could have a claim.
What with this lot? I reckon he should cough up enough to keep me in luxury for the rest of me natural. I'll have to come and see you again.
I was afraid you might.
So he's going to sue Curtis. You don't need to take cases like Rodwell, Miss Peterson. There's plenty of other work.
I don't like guns. And legally, the case is interesting and important.
Everybody will be on Curtis's side.
Possibly.
Judges included.
And they should know better. Encouraging people to take the law into their own hands leads only to the lynch mob.
Well, Curtis was defending his property.
He tried to kill another human being.
A lot of people will say that he was justified.
And what will they say next time when the shotgun kills a 5-year-old wanting to get his ball back? Ah, Mr. Rodwell, Mr. Thorogood. Come in, please.
Mr. Corletti.
Inspector?
I've just obtained from the Ministry of Defence the original of the report on Major Stannard. Now, what you gave Miss Peterson is not an exact copy. It's not even a copy at all. It's a paraphrase of the original. Well, is that right?
No comment.
I want to know where you got this.
Yes, I said you do.
Where's Miss Peterson?
In conference.
Well, please inform her that I shall be in touch.
What Curtis did to you is known in law as trespass to the person. It is a tort, a civil wrong, for which the law provides the remedy of damages.
Spare me the lectures, Miss P. How much?
Your claim could be worth a total of 15,000.
15 grand? Well, that's all right.
Well, that's assuming you win.
You can't lose. You can't argue with a leg that isn't there.
Curtis put a sign up. Burglars will be shot. Did you see it?
What if I did?
There's a legal principle called volenti non fit injuria.
It means the law won't compensate anyone who brings about his own misfortune.
All right, I say I didn't see it.
Not with us representing you, you don't.
Look, I saw the sign, but I knew no one would be at home. I did my homework.
And then there's contributory negligence.
Come again?
Well, take a car accident. You don't get full compensation if it was partly your fault.
Ah, but this wasn't my fault.
A lot of people will say it was all your fault. And that's another problem, the psychology.
The reaction of most law-abiding citizens to the loss of your leg will be 3 cheers. It'll stop him doing it again.
All right, all right. Now, look, all I want is my rights. Does the law say I'll get compensation or not?
I say there's too much risk involved in trying to find out. You must settle.
No, never.
Well said. This has all the makings of the most lucrative case I've ever worked on.
And if that doesn't make you settle, Mr. Rodwell?
It's prominent enough. The burglar's obvious route would have been past the sign, in through the front gate, round to the French windows here, yes.
Read this. Read what it says.
I don't need to. I know what the law is.
That's why I did what I did.
If I look into my drawing room and see a burglar picking up the clock, and he cannot see me, what ought I to do? Will's replied, as nearly as may be my advice to you, which I give you as a man, as an English judge, is as follows. In the supposed circumstances, this is what you have a right to do. I'm by no means sure that it is not your duty to do it. Take a double-barrel shotgun, carefully load both barrels, and then, without attracting the burglar's attention, aim steadily at his heart and shoot him dead. This isn't the law, this is a joke. Where's the rest of the page?
Who said it?
Mr. Justice Wills, but he said it as a joke, as the rest of the page would have told you. Where did you get this book?
Well, I picked it up at a charity do, but it's a proper legal book.
You set a lethal trap. On the strength of a 100-year-old volume you bought at a jumble sale.
And what you said about protection?
Just about the most dangerous thing anyone can do is to try and find out the law for themselves.
Well, I was in fear of my life, or at least my wife was.
You were both out of the house at the time.
What about that notice I put up outside?
And that is about the best point you have in law.
The law wouldn't be so stupid as to make me pay money to a burglar, surely.
What you did is a crime, for which you are fortunate not to be serving 5 years imprisonment. Victims of crime are entitled to compensation.
Nobody in his right mind will make me pay a cent.
Unless I'm extremely clever, you'll be writing out a cheque for £20,000.
I haven't got it.
Then let me try and settle.
Never.
A careless driving at Southwestern. Yes. I've got a young lady counsel who could do that very nicely. Miss Bradstreet. It's a plea of not guilty. How about 15? Oh, all right. I'll take £5.
I'll get your coats then.
Oh, Sir John. I have some bad news on the political front.
Oh, yes?
Yes, I'm afraid your name will not be going forward, after all.
But I've already spoken to people in high places. There's a promise, an informal promise.
Well, I spoke out of turn, it seems, and there's been quite a song and dance about it.
But you can't possibly have chosen another candidate.
No, not yet. But your name will not be going forward on the shortlist.
But you didn't say anything about a shortlist. Am I to understand that you hadn't the authority to approach me?
I didn't think it was necessary, Sir John. I mean, after all, Gallagher's been our MP for generations.
Just so.
Yes. Well, it seems that is what they object to. They believe that you're the wrong image, Sir John. Yes, I'm afraid the wind of change has at last reached the grassroots. They're thinking of choosing the branch secretary of the Agricultural Workers' Union. Sorry for any inconvenience.
Good afternoon, Sir John. A successful view of the premises?
We're coming.
Yes, Sir John. Oh, Mr. Walker.
I have an appointment.
Yes. Miss Peterson, Inspector Walker is here. Oh, very well. Show Mr. Walker in, would you please?
Ah, William, you are a married man. I am not. I want your advice on a strictly confidential matter. I've been placed in an awkward predicament. I've discussed with a member of the opposite sex, her name is not important, a certain domestic arrangement. Events have occurred which make that arrangement de trop, unnecessary. Now, what I want your advice about is this.
Bill, is it true what Walker says?
It's not an exact copy, no.
Compare these two. Not you.
Well, the sense is the same, but the words are different.
Is it also true that you refuse to cooperate with the police, refuse to answer questions?
Yes.
Why?
You told me I'd committed offences. I'm not going to help them put me away.
Bill, you're involved in the law. You're part of it. It's your duty
I have the right to keep my trap shut.
Not where I'm concerned. 3 appeal court judges ordered an investigation into this report. It's your duty to assist that investigation.
Harriet, I do not agree with you. A suspected person has no duty to help the prosecution prove a case against him.
How did you get this?
If I tell you that, it's as good as telling that copper outside.
Where did you get it?
I talked to people who'd served with Stannard at the time, who knew what had happened. We put that together from what we know happened, and one of my mates had seen the original.
So you lied to me?
No, Miss Peterson.
You told me the report was authentic.
It is.
This isn't authentic. It's a shot in the dark.
But on target.
Luck. When he, my clerk, put this document into my hand, knowing full well the use to which I was about to put it, he was misleading me, the court, Stannard.
May I remind you, Miss Peterson, that that document, and only that, saved my son's future. A small price to pay.
You will answer Inspector Walker's questions.
No. It's all right, William. If what you say is true, you have committed no offence.
How can that be?
Well, you didn't copy an official document, steal a secret. You merely put together pieces of general knowledge.
Guesswork, based on gossip.
From which you drew an accurate conclusion. Now, that is not a crime.
If you'll excuse me, I'll go and see the inspector.
I can't be clerked by somebody who behaves like that.
Exceptional circumstances, exceptional behavior.
That explains his conduct. It doesn't excuse it.
He's a fine clerk. He's also a father.
John, you know how strict the rules are, what we can and cannot use in cross-examination of witnesses. If the truth about that report had come out in court, I would have been in real professional trouble, put there by my own clerk.
It wouldn't have come to that,
It
Harry.
could have. You'll have to get rid of him.
Don't press it, Harry, please. For the moment, sleep on it.
What is there to sleep on? It's a simple matter of trust, or lack of it.
We'll never find a better clerk.
I know that.
I will not dismiss him. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But this is a matter for apology, not dismissal. Now, look, you act for a man called Rodwell, who is suing my client, Henry Curtis.
Want to settle?
No, but you have a certain nuisance value, say £500.
Sure.
You can't win that case. On the law, there's contributory negligence, volenti, both almost impossible hurdles. But worst of all, you'll be faced with judicial repugnance at the very idea of awarding damages.
If, when you have read and digested a case called British Railways Board in Herrington, 1972, you come back to me with an offer of £15,000, I might consider it.
This party only happens once a year. Now, as the junior member, you know what you have to do, Right then, when I tip you the wink.
Yes, well, the only successful settlement is one with which both parties are equally dissatisfied. Now, my client is livid.
Mine isn't happy.
And how much was the settlement?
7,000.
My chap Curtis says he can't find the money.
But you said he's agreed.
Well, he's accepted my advice.
So he'll have to pay.
Or take the consequences.
Your burglar using the shotgun this time, I suppose.
Not necessary. We simply levy execution on Mr. Curtis's goods.
So the burglar gets the contents of the house he originally came from.
Neat, isn't it?
Perfect balance is what makes law work. Violent burglars get exceptional punishment. Violent householders pay heavy damages.
And habitual criminals get £7,000 profit.
Where's the profit? Would you have your right leg amputated for 7,000?
Rodwell is a useless member of society, motivated only by greed, not poverty or mental disturbance. Why do you have anything to do with him?
What's got into you? You always champion the criminal.
Not necessarily the criminal, only people who've suffered inhumanity.
Quote from the judgment in British Railways Board v. Harrington, 1972. It is inhuman to catch a man by any means which may maim him or endanger his life. And so far as human means can go, it is the object of English law to uphold humanity.
Sir John, the speech is now, do you think?
See why not?
Pray silence for Miss Phyllis Bradstreet.
Thank you. As the junior member, it is my duty to propose the toast to the head of chambers. Well, that's it. Uncle John.
John.
Sir John.
Sir John. Sir John.
Well, brevity is sometimes not the soul of wit. However, if you'll excuse me, thank you for your good wishes. Enjoy yourselves, and good night.
Doesn't he usually make you suffer at least half an hour of his witticism?
I had prepared a beautiful speech on the subject of the Mother of Parliaments, but it was not to be.
John, may I have a word with you? Excuse us. I told you I'd give you my answer tonight.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, circumstances have changed, Harriet. I'm afraid now I shall not be the next Attorney General.
John, I am sorry.
And in view of that, I wondered...
Not to worry. I'm delighted to tell you that I can't imagine anything more civilized than you and I.
You mean you're actually going firm with the arrangement?
But of course. If you're happy about it. If not, you can't be sued for breach of promise any longer, can you, John?
Oh, Harriet, you're joshing him again. Thank you, my dear. Good night.
Good night.
See you in chambers. Can I give you a lift, William?
Oh, thank you, Sir John. Good night, Miss Peterson.
Thank you for your note, Bill. I accept your apology.
Right, Doctor. Good night, my dear fellow. Good night.
You blinding up the motorway tonight?
Yes. I've heard my Aunt Deborah's not too well. I thought I'd take a few days off, go out and see her, and maybe get in some walking at the same time.
I could do with a break myself. And I'd like to see your Aunt Deborah again.
You'll need to have a word with Bill.
Yes, of course.
It can be very wet in the Highlands.
I've just bought a new raincoat.